and I'm laying on top of these trash cans, all dead, you know, bleeding to death, all cut up, shot up, stabbed, and I'm like going, whoa. Well, I wake up and I'm a mess. I'm sweating all over. I had long hair at the time, and my hair was stuck to my face. I peed my bed, and I'm weeping. I'm sitting there bawling, and I wake up and I just feel dirty, and I'm just going, oh my gosh, what's going on? I jump out of bed. I say, I got to get clean. I run into the bathroom, and as I'm taking this shower, all of a sudden, boom, something happens inside me, and I begin to start singing. I start singing. That's not normal for me because I don't normally sing in the shower, but I start singing. And as I'm singing, all of a sudden, I feel this peace come on me. Well, I get done with that. I get out of the shower. I put on some clothes. I step out of the bathroom, and the way the room was set up was you had the bathroom here, and right here, next to the bathroom, was the room that I used to stay in. Okay, you had stairs going up right here. Okay, and right here you had stairs that went upstairs to a room up above in the attic. Okay, right here, there was another room that nobody was staying in that night. Well, when I walk out of the bathroom, I stand right there. And I look over into this room where I used to stay in, over to my left. I look over to that room. And it's like I could see and feel the darkness and the evil in that room. And all the hairs on my body just went ding, and stood up. And I go, whoa, that place is evil. And all of a sudden I hear, just like that, I hear God speaking. He says, do you want to change? And I'm like, whoa, I don't want to go back into that. And I look across, and I look all the way across to this room over here, and the door underneath, you can see bright light shooting out of it. It's like, you know, you've probably seen it on X-Files. They have that door with all the light shooting out of it. Okay, it's kind of like that. I saw this really bright light, but it was really inviting. And I could feel warmth emanating from that room. And I was like, man, I want to go in there. So I ran into that room. I just shoot across and go into that room. I close the door. I jump in the bed, put the blankets over my head, and I close my eyes and go to sleep. Well, the room is pitch black. It's got curtains on it. The shades are closed. The door's off. The lights are off. There's no light in this room. But the moment I go under the blankets, my eyelids turn bright orange. And they literally turn bright orange, like as if though I was laying out on a sunny beach and the sun was shining on my face. And I feel this heat beginning to emanate deep into me. And I go, whoa, what's going on? This is not supposed to be going on. I'm in a dark room. Shades are closed. The lights are off. I'm under the blankets. Where's this light coming from? What's this heat? So I open my eyes up and I look around and nothing's there. Everything goes away immediately. I'm like, something's going on. This tripped me out. But I'm sober. It's like I'm sober. And so I'm going, I'm not understanding what's going on. And I go, that's a trip. Well, maybe if I go back under the blankets, close my eyes and do this again, it'll come back. So I do that. And then immediately everything begins to happen. My eyelids turn bright orange and that heat begins to permeate deep into my being. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, man, this is the best feeling I've ever had. I've never felt something this peaceful. It was like just this peace that was so deep. It's all over my body. And I'm like, I don't want to lose this. I don't want to lose this feeling. What is it? I'm just going to stay here because I don't want to do this again and risk it not coming back. So I stay there. And as I begin to go into sleep, I begin to have these two visions. On the left side of my mind, I begin to see this vision of a tree, this old, white, dying tree. And on the right side, I begin to see this baby and a fetus, this little egg. It begins to grow. And all of a sudden, my mind focuses in on the left side. And I begin to see this tree, and it's like you're watching it from behind a camera, and you zoom in on the tree, and you're zooming in closer. As you get closer, you begin to see that it's got a hole on the side of it, like a door, and you walk up to the door and you walk in and it's pitch dark in there. It's just pitch black in there, no light at all. And all of a sudden these two red eyes open up and they look at you and they're going like this. And you're sitting there going, okay, and the creature looks like this and it's looking around, and all of a sudden this light shoots past you and hits the floor. And the eyes, the little eyes, you can see them go down to the ground, look at the light. And he kind of steps back for a minute. And you begin to see the silhouette because the light begins to intensify, and you begin to see the silhouette, kind of like the light reflecting off the creature's body. You see just the silhouette of this creature. He's looking at the light, kind of like, what is that? What is that? And the light begins to creep more into the room, into that little tree. It begins to creep forward more and more. And the creature's looking at it, and he's stepping back till he gets up to the back of the tree. And the light keeps coming forward, and he's sitting there, he starts getting scared, and you can see him getting scared. And the light touches his toes. And the moment it goes over his toes, he freezes. He's like, and he tries to step back, but he can't. And the more he's trying to step back, all of a sudden the light just shoots and consumes the entire room. And there you see this monster. This little monster with red eyes and the nastiest, filthiest, most smellingest things you can think of, kegged all over his body. Twigs sticking out his shoulders and stuff, and it's just this nasty, nasty thing. And all of a sudden, all that stuff begins to turn to rock, and it begins to turn into this all rock. Well, you can see the creature scared, and he starts to shake, and it all turns to rock, and then you zoom in on the feet. And as you zoom in on the feet, you begin to hear the breaking of the rock, and you begin to see rocks falling all around you, the stone. Finally, the feet move, and they kick away the rock, and there's left is these two little human feet. So you zoom back, and there's me. It's me when I was 7 years old when I came to America. I'm sitting there, I'm just standing there totally butt naked. Scared. He's kind of just like looking at life like, man, where am I? What is this place? And he looks around himself, and he looks at the door where the light's coming from, and he looks at the room one more time like this, and he just runs through the door and runs out. The moment he runs out the door, the camera angle changes to this panoramic view, and you see him come running out of the tree and start running, and when he gets out of the tree, he stops and he looks around. There's this giant field, this beautiful field, and it's got hills over here, and you got deer running in it, and butterflies and stuff, and he's just like, wow, this is awesome. He starts trying to catch a butterfly, then he starts trying to catch the deer, and he's rolling around playing, having a good old time. Then he just stops, and he looks back at the tree for a second, looks forward, and just takes off running. I mean, he's going as fast as he can go. Well, as he's running, he's going down this hill on the other side, and he starts to grow. As he's growing, the tree that he came out of begins to slowly get smaller and begin to decay, and it finally turns to dust, and you see this gust of wind come along, pick it up, and blow it away. And the boy keeps running and running and running, and he's getting bigger and bigger, and all of a sudden a new tree begins to grow up in the place where the old tree was. And this new tree keeps growing and growing and growing and growing, and the boy keeps running until he reaches the edge of this giant river. He gets to this giant, he reaches the edge of this giant river, and he gets there. And he's looking across. I mean, this thing is monstrous. It's a huge river. You know, it's like, it's so loud and so powerful. You can feel the ground shaking as it's moving, as the water is flowing through this river, moving the rock. And as it's moving, you can hear the thundering of the ground underneath it. Like this grinding going on. Because that water is so powerful as it's moving through this place. And he stops there. Well, the tree has now grown to a full mature, young tree. The young man, he stops at the edge of the river, and I look at him, and it's me. It's me at my age at the time that I was at, 17 years old, the hair down past my back, And he just stops there, and there he is, butt naked, long hair, 17 years old, and just at the edge of this river, and he's kind of like, man, what is this? He looks up and down the river, and doesn't see a place to cross, and then he looks back where he came from. He looks back at the river, and it's like he's contemplating, what am I going to do? What am I going to do here? And he looks back at the river one more time, back behind him one more time where he came from. And kind of with a grin, he looks forward, kind of like, I know what I'm doing. And he turns around, runs at the river, takes 2 steps, jumps in, and starts swimming out. And you watch him swim out about halfway, boom, he goes under, and he disappears. And all of a sudden, the camera starts panning left and right, looking for him. It's looking for him. And they can't find him. And it zooms in all the way on the other side of the shore, and you can see this line of trees all the way in the far off distance. And all of a sudden, as you're looking, you see this man coming out of the water. As he's coming out, it's an older man, probably in his late 40s or middle 50s, something like that. He's got grays on the side of his head. His hair's short and trim, and he's got this fur covering on his body. It's like a leather skin, kind of like the Flintstones. That's really what it looked like. And he steps up on the other side of the river, and he's got this fur coat on. And the first thing the man does is he looks up to heaven and raises his hands. Then he looks up and down the river, and he walks into the trees. And as he walks into the trees, the camera angle changes from a panoramic view to this helicopter view where you see everything. And on that line of trees, You zoom in on it, and it's this, that line of trees is this forest, this rainforest that just goes on forever. And it just goes on and on and on and on forever and ever. And I'm going, wow, that thing's huge. Well, then my mind immediately goes back to the image of the child. And like, it's like actually the whole time while this was going on, my mind was keeping up with both visions. But when I share it, I have to do it this way because I can't do it when I talk. But on the other side, I see that little womb, that little baby was growing the whole time the whole vision was going on. It kept growing and growing and growing and growing. Well, when the man goes into the trees, and the baby's head slowly begins to come closer to the edge of the womb. And when the baby's head comes out of the womb, the man goes into the trees. Well, when he goes into the trees, the baby's head comes out of the womb. I hadn't noticed it, but my body had curled up in a fetal position. And I'd been sitting there under the blankets, slowly stretching with the fetus. And when the baby's head came out of the womb, my head came out from under the blankets. And at the same time, the man went into the trees. And I wake up with all this in my mind going, whoa, that was intense. What was all this? So I go, man, Lord. I didn't say, man, Lord, I didn't know the Lord. But I wake up, I get out of bed, I'm like, man, what was that? And like all of a sudden, just like that, this confusion comes on me. And I feel like, when I woke up, there was this urgency in me. I'm going to miss something. I'm going to miss something. There's something that's going to come. There's a gathering that's happening, and I'm going to miss it. And I could feel it inside me. And it was going on in my mind, you're going to miss it if you don't hurry up. You're going to miss it if you don't hurry up. So I jump out of bed. I'm like, I got to get there. I got to get there. Where am I going? What is this place? I got to find it. I run trying to find the door, and I'm trying to find the door, and I can't find the door. Finally, all of a sudden, I look, and there's the door handle. I open the door. I run down the stairs. And when I get to the bottom of the steps, I'm standing in front of all the staff that run the home, and I'm butt naked. 17 years old, butt naked in front of some adults in a house. And I'm going, oh man, I run back upstairs, right? Well, that sets off the staff. They come upstairs after me. The guy that runs the place comes up after me, Tom, and he goes, hey, what the heck's going on, John? Something changes in me, and all of a sudden I begin to hear the devil's voice, and he starts saying, you're mine. I own you, and I'm going to make you do what I want you to do. And in my mind, I say, I'm nobody's slave. Nobody owns me. I do what I want to do. And the devil laughs. He says, you fool. I own you because of this and this and this. And he begins tagging the things I've done in my life. He began tagging all my sins and saying, I own you. And you will do what I say. And immediately he says, now do this. And he gives a command. And as he speaks that command into my mind, my body begins to do exactly what he tells me to do. Well, Tom comes up, and I start looking at Tom, and I begin arguing with Tom for no reason. I don't want to argue with Tom. But the devil has me arguing with this man, threatening violence on him, and things are getting crazy. And I'm going, whoa, I don't want to be like this. What's going on? I'm losing control of myself. Well, Tom's like sitting there arguing with me, trying to get me to calm down, trying to get all this, and my brain's going nuts. He leaves, and as he leaves, I'm sitting there thinking to myself, I have no control of my own body. God, help me. And the moment I cry that out, God immediately, he immediately speaks to me and says, do you really want my help? Do you really want to change? And I'm like, God, you got to help me. Immediately, that hold that the devil had on me broke. And I was like, whoa, man, I do not know what just happened. I realized that God's the only hope I have. Well, then everything goes crazy. Like that acid trip that I had been on was gone. It came right back in an instant. Boom! My mind went crazy again. And I started, tripping out. I can't understand. I can't speak. It felt like I was high again. I'm like, I was just sober 2 seconds ago. I haven't done any drugs. But I'm literally feeling like I'm high. Well, they end up calling the police because of what's going on. The police show up. The staff are there. They got the ambulance there. And they're going to take me to detox. Somewhere. I'm going to some detox, and they're going to figure out what's going on with me. They asked me, I said, I need to go. I want to go with the staff. I want to go with someone I at least some sort of trust. And on the way to the detox center, I grabbed the steering wheel 3 times and tried to throw the car under a semi. I wasn't doing it on purpose. I don't remember doing that, but the staff told me later on that that's what I tried to do. 3 times I tried to grab that steering wheel and throw us under a truck. Obviously, I had demonic issues. Didn't know it at the time. God had shown me that I needed God's mercy and salvation. I get to the detox center. They're asking me what's going on. I can't talk to them. I'm trying to tell them, where my mom's address is. Well, they've got this sheet of acid on me. So now they found this these 100 hits of LSD on me. They're trying to figure out where I got it. I'm trying to tell them where my mom lives. I don't know why I was doing that. And all this confusion is going on, but I can't speak. The whole time I can't speak, I can't write. Everything is a mess with me. They finally put me in this room. A policeman comes in, sits down next to me, puts his arm on my shoulder. I push his arm off, said, "Don't touch me, man. You're a guy. I don't like being touched." "All right, sorry, didn't mean to do that. I'm just trying to help you out." Da, da, da. He leaves. I don't know how much time he was gone. I don't even know if he was the same officer that came back in there. But some time passes, and the man comes in, sits down next to me, and puts his arm on me again. My brain told me this was the same guy. So I proceed to throw my arm around him and just immediately explode on his face. I mean, he was just like, "Boom! Don't touch me!" And I start hitting this guy, just start pounding on him. All of a sudden, I hear footsteps behind me, so I throw him to the ground, and I turn around to the door, and I start swinging. And I'm sitting there swinging at the door, trying to fight these 4 cops that are trying to come in there. Well, while I'm fighting them, the guy gets up behind me, pulls out his billy club, and hits me on the side of the head and knocks me out. They throw me on some restraining table, because when I wake up, I was on the restraining table, totally stretched out like this, and it was a mess. But while I'm on that table, knocked out, totally unconscious, God began to speak with me. And this time, instead of having my sins pointed out to me as a reason why I was, somebody's property, God began to show me my sins and how all my life I'd always tried to do good things to make myself okay in the eyes of God without knowing it. He says, "You're always doing these things, thinking you're trying to do right, doing what you do because you know you're wrong. And every time you try to fix a problem, all you do is you make it worse." And I felt like I was trying to untie a shoelace, but the more I tried to untie it, the more it became a knot. Well, God ends up showing me my spirit. As all this is going on, God's showing me my sins, and He begins showing me my need for a Savior. And as He's doing that, God shows me my spirit, and He says, "This is your condition before me." And I see this table, the surgical table, and there's this creature on the table. But the creature isn't really a creature. It's like a mess. It's like this blob this creature that had literally like melted itself into this mess. Legs in the wrong place, eyeballs in the wrong place, ears in the wrong place. Everything was just all meshed up, and here this thing is on this table. But it's alive. And it's trying to stretch itself out, and it's me. And I feel myself all contorted and all messed up, and I'm trying to stretch myself out, and God says,